Oh, okay. Greetings, virtual village. Today, my name is Paul. I'm one of the influencers in Clever Communities in Action, 2020 influencer group. I am co-hosting with the two hosts, the two people that brought me to this community and helped me influence the youth and everyone that joins us in the show. So we have Miss Armstrong, and then we have Mr. Rodney. Today we have a very interesting show for y'all, and just get ready to enjoy the show.
What a great intro. That was excellent. Great job, Paul. So you guys heard him. This is Paul, one of our Virtual Village 2020 influencers, our artist extraordinaire, the one, he who paints all things, who has no limits on his painting and content creation talent. And we are glad to have him here with us this evening as we close out our 11th week, guys. 11 weeks. Wow. Wow. Mr. Jordan, how are you feeling this evening?
I'm doing all right. Glad to see the two of you again, and glad to see Paul in the house. And like you said, he did a great job. And welcome to the Literacy Gang. And let's get it kicking.
Let's get it going. So y'all know, we're at the end of the week of week 11 again, right? And before we move on with the show, we always got to officiate the show. So here we go. All right.
Look, mommy, community in action. But oh my, let us sound that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. But oh my, let us sound that. Creative, affirming, and culture for me too. Look, granny, and let us sound that. Look, granny, and let us sound that. Look, granny, and let us sound that. Learning, exploring about history, you see. Look, mommy, and let us sound that. We confident, we practice, and develop fluency. Look, daddy, and let us sound that. Families, they bond and they representing me. Look, granny, and let us sound that. Look, I'm here, let us sound that. Nice, I see, let us sound that.
So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while we represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down where they have to sit. So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while you represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down, yeah, they have a sit.
Look, mommy, community in action. Well, oh my, let us sound that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. Well, oh my, let us sound that. Creative, affirming, culture for me too. Look, granny, let us sound that.
My ringtone. Forever loving the sound of that. So again, we've had a fast week, but a long week. A lot going on here in our country, in the world. And it's Friday, and we want to, I've gone back and forth throughout the day in my brain exactly with everything going on. How do I want to handle that with this show? I feel we'd be remiss without bringing up the climate that is going on in our community right now. I have a young person on here with me, and everything with me always reverts back to the youth. Everything about this particular movement is about us uplifting our young people. I did a check-in with them today and all the young people in my life. And I talked to Paul briefly this morning. And Paul, how are you doing in the wake of everything that's going on? Because I want to hear about the well-being of our children.
Personally, I'm doing okay in my house, but when I look at the news and seeing that all of these protests are going on, it's kind of like it's frustrating how police brutality is still going on, and we still have to fight to find justice and peace for the Black community. So, but personally, for me, I'm doing good, but just thinking about all that is going on outside of my household is just kind of frustrating.
And you say you and your mother were talking about this earlier, right?
Yes, we were talking about what was happening in Minneapolis with the rioting and the looting in Target, and I remember I saw a video of this woman getting white woman getting sprayed with a fire extinguisher because she was stabbing people, and it was just chaos, and so it was just confusing to look at.
There's a lot going on right now. In the midst of that, when we had our conversation, one thing that I wanted to remind you of was, with all of your feelings, you have talent, you have power, you have a part to play. And because you are inheriting this world, before you know it, you're going to be in the position that we are in right here. And there will be young people coming up behind you. And what did we talk about with you and your gifts?
I was saying that I would use my gifts to kind of, as I do in the virtual village. I would like to influence others to stay culturally aware and be culturally affirming. So I would create more Afrocentric art and more recent art on the times that we are going through now.
We all have a part to play. And one thing we don't want you all to feel is powerless at this time. Making sure for all the adults who are tuning in that we are staying in tune to our young people, that they know they can come to us and talk, that we all are being strategic about the moves that we make, and understanding always now, before now, and after now, 6 months from now, that we all have a part to play in moving things forward for our community and seeking out the justice in all forms that we know that we deserve. But definitely, this show is focused on our youth. So we're listening to our young people. We are listening to them because they are seeing the same images. They are having feelings as well. So we don't want to push that aside. We want to be very much aware of how it is affecting them and having these conversations, even if they are uncomfortable, because as adults, we should be having these conversations and doing what we can to move the needle forward all the time anyway. But I just can't have a youth up here and see all the things that I see on my television, that I see in my news feeds, and not check in with them and not make sure that we're listening to them and finding out how they are doing. So let's see, Mr. Jordan, did you have anything that you want to say, or are we going to go on to our first reader?
Well, I'll just say that I've spoke to my own children who have been sending me messages about activities and feelings and thoughts. So I think it's always important for us to talk to our children and our young people about things such as this. I kind of have this mixed feeling because I know I have my own feelings about it, and I'm want to be careful about while I'm engaging with young people at the same time being sensitive. And most folks that know me know that I believe that as adults we have the responsibility for setting the tone and environment for children, and I think our children deal with too much trauma as it is. So I just think we have to be able to talk to them about things that are happening, but also be culturally aware and consciously aware of being able to allow our young people and our children to talk. But once we allow them to start talking, we have to continue to engage with them so that we just don't bring up emotions or push down emotions and don't have a real opportunity to address them as they're just trying to figure out, what's happening in this world that seems so crazy at times. So I think it's always important to be able to reassure each other that we can handle these things and we can do things in a way that brings about the type of world in which we would like to live. And I'll just leave it at that for right now.
Yeah. So I definitely agree. And again, I just think the word from that is to be mindful of our young people and what they are dealing with, how they're feeling, and to be ever vigilant. Because something that we didn't experience when we were their age is this repetitive, seeing these same images over and over and over, and they're on multiple social media platforms. So yeah, just let's be aware of that. All right. So villagers, what was that, sir?
No, I just started to say, we are the same people who are able to inoculate in some way our children to survive some of the most horrific experiences known to mankind. So we know we've done it before, and we know we can do it again.
So we're going to come on to our first reader. That is one of our, let's see, we have this beautiful young lady here. You guys are familiar with her. She's been popping in and out quite a bit. I think she enjoys reading, and we enjoy having her as a reader. I mean, that's the criteria to be an influencer. So we're bringing one of our influencers back so you get to see more and more of her lovely face. Paul, why don't you introduce this beautiful young lady?
Okay, so we have one of our very own virtual village influencers. We have the lovely, the beautiful Trinity.
There she is.
The lovely
Thank
and
you,
the beautiful
Paul. Thank you, Paul,
Hey,
for
all
that
of that.
beautiful
and
introduction.
You're
and the
welcome.
brilliant.
All
Yes.
of that. Yes, yes. So how are you doing this evening, Miss Trinity?
I'm doing well. I was just had to stay off social media for the day. It's a lot going on. Um, it's a lot happening in the world right now. It's difficult just to watch. Me and my family were talking about it today because most of them they lived through that through the '60s and everything like that, and they were telling me how it's repeating. It's everything that's keep going on. Like my aunt was telling me how that the in Minneapolis riots is just like the LA riots. So she was just telling me how everything is repeating, and yeah, it's a lot going on. But I'm good.
I'm glad that you are good, and I'm glad that you are having able to have the discussion with your family. And again, we are here to support you guys and to listen to you guys, and that you are mindful enough to know how much you can take in and how much you can't. But with all of that, I always feel like that without any of the angst that we feel, however we are feeling, we use that to channel things and understand how we're gonna move things forward. The helplessness comes in when you feel like it's so much going on and I don't know what to do. But there's always something that we can do. We all have talents. We all have gifts. We all have a purpose. So using that to do our part in what needs to be done. And like I said, even after the media stops covering all of this is still relevant. We still have things, everything that you influencers stand for, and all that work and things that you guys are talking about on Wednesdays and things that you are already doing. It was relevant last Wednesday, 2 Wednesdays before, and it's going to be relevant in November. I mean, what is this? This is going to be relevant in May, November of 2021 and of 2041. So let's see. With that said, what book are you reading for us tonight?
Today I will be reading a book called Name Who is Gifted by Dr. Rucker and Dr. Vaughn, illustrated by Cameron Wilson.
Oh, wonderful. So Dr. Vaughn is a personal friend of mine and of Clever Communities in Action. He has written a lot of culturally affirming books. I feel like some of his books are actually lifesavers. The topics that they cover, they're therapeutic in ways, issues that Black children may deal with at times, and they can turn those pages and find solace within those pages and find comfort and affirmation. So I'm glad that you are picking a book by him. And we are going to step away, sweetie, and we are going to let you do your reading thing. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Who is gifted? For teachers, the beginning of every school year is filled with various emotions. Some want a few more days or weeks of summer, while other teachers are excited and nervous regarding the successes and challenges they will experience. Teachers slowly walked toward the building to begin the first day of pre-planning before students arrived in the following weeks. There were many new faces that school year. Throughout the day, everyone was busy decorating their rooms and planning for instruction. After the faculty meeting, Dr. Fields met with the new talented and gifted tag teacher, Dr. Rucker. During the meeting, Dr. Fields discussed the importance of increasing the number of tag students. Dr. Rucker, I am so excited to have you here. I have heard nothing but how good things about how you grow the gifted student population. We are going to need your help. So far, we only have 8 tag students. We have a lot of students who have the potential to get into the tag program with the right support. Also, we have to make sure our students are not keeping students from going into the gifted because of their behavior or misconceptions regarding the gifted student should look like. After meeting with the principal, Dr. Rucker began planning for the training on how she would provide the teachers with the strategies regarding the process of identifying potentially gifted students. She planned to help teachers understand how the data from the national and local test scores would be used to would be used would be used to identify some of the tag students. Most importantly, she planned on how she would address the elephant that existed in most urban schools. The elephant that had to be addressed was helping teachers identify students with behavioral problems who met the criteria for gifted and who were also blocked because of their behavior. Dr. Rucker knew this challenge would be tough. During the training session with the teachers, Dr. Rucker asked the teachers to identify some of the traits of the talented and gifted students. Good morning to you all. My name is Dr. Rucker, and I am excited to work with you all this year. I want to start today's session by planning a gifted game. In your groups, you are going to list as many attributes of gifted students as you can. The group with the most accurate descriptions of traits of gifted kids will win lunch on me. If you know anything about teachers and food, you know how excited they are at the thought of winning free lunch. Okay. The teachers worked hard in their groups. Some of them even borrowed answers from neighborhood groups with the hopes of winning. As Dr. Rucker walked around looking at the answers, many teachers noted words that worked hard, smart, ask a lot of questions, task oriented, leaders, well mannered, and the list went on regarding all the positive traits of an ideal student. The teachers explained the tag students knew the work hard, offered explanations regarding their questions to answers, and were overall good kids. Dr. Rucker gave the prize to the third grade group because they listed the most words describing their perception of gifted students. Next, Dr. Rucker communicated the next steps in the session. Thank you so much for your feedback on the traits. I'm going to offer you another opportunity to win lunch. Can you do me a favor and list the 3 reasons why they think there are so few African American males, Hispanic males, and Hispanics in the TAG program? Also, explain why or why not behavior should be a key factor and whether or not behavior should be a major factor when identifying gifted students. She gave the teachers 15 minutes to come up with their answers and the questions posed. When the time was up, teachers explained that many minority kids were not identified because they were not performing on the right academic level, challenges with language barriers, motivating kids to do their best on gifted screener assignments, and challenging the stereotype that being smart was not cool. There was also a heated debate regarding if students with behavioral problems should be allowed to participate in gifted. Dr. Rucker allowed the teachers to struggle with perceptions of gifted students. Dr. Rucker helped the teachers wrestle with the idea that some gifted students do not fit in the perfect box. Dr. Rucker explained some gifted students struggle with behavior but are gifted. Some of you students who are extremely lazy and disorganized are also gifted. Gifted is not a race or color. Gifted is a wealth status. Is not a wealth status. And is not the child that does everything we ask as they sit quietly and politely in your class. Gifted students have many traits that will not fit into our traditional box or paradigm. We have to let go of our old ways of thinking of gifted because it is blocking us from empowering and identifying many potentially gifted students. The students who are identified the least are often females or minority students. After her message, she allowed the teachers a moment to grapple with what she said. Next, Dr. Rucker provided the students with strategies to help them find engaging lessons for students that would prepare them for the TAG test, many Black and Hispanic students. Many Black and Hispanic students struggle with. Dr. Rucker continued to remind the teachers that in order to grow the TAG student population at the school, they would have to work together to increase student exposure to complex tasks and learning activities. All the teachers agreed to help water and seed the greatness of their students. After the beginning of the year's parent and student meet and greet, Dr. Rucker met many parents who were interested in having their students participate in the TAG program. As Dr. Rucker talked to the parents, she provided them with resources and websites they could go to make sure the parents help expose their children to various opportunities. She also explained to the parents that what they can do to help their child increase their performances in school tests and creative selection of the TAG tests. Also, during the beginning of the year, Dr. Rucker met with the English as second language teachers to discuss the ways they could work together and help the ESOL students overcome the language barriers that were preventing the students from getting into the TAG program. During the meeting, the teachers discussed how they would help the students perform in class and overcome language challenges. They also discussed students who they believe could do well in school tests and TAG tests. ESOL students agreed to push their students. Teachers agreed to push their students and made the list of the specific students they would try. They would do extra work and see if they would qualify for the TAG program. During early October, many students prepared to take the IOWA test. This test was one of the major tests which Dr. Rucker used to identify potential TAG students. After the results came in, many of the teachers were surprised by the results. Dr. Rucker met with teachers during their planning times to discuss the data and students who had scores that identified them as potential TAG students. Some of the teachers were shocked by the results because some of the students who were identified often had behavioral issues or did not show how smart they truly were in class. Based on the scores, there could have been more than over 30 new TAG students if all went well with the test scores of the rest of the testing process. After the meeting with the fourth grade, after the meeting with the fourth grade, Miss Johnson and Mrs. Grimes asked to speak with Dr. Rector. She explained, "Are you sure Derek and Juan scores are correct? They are always acting out in my class. How in the world did they score so high?" Mrs. Grimes chimed in, I'm not surprised Carla, Patience, Jane, and William's scores are high. Their teachers last year said they did well in third grade. Now I don't know about Ladarius and Thomas. However, you can keep Quintarius and Thomas as long as you want because they are not in the class. We get a lot more work done. Dr. Rucker was not surprised by the teacher's comments. She knew that in order to help increase the TAG students in the school, she would have to help shift the teachers' beliefs regarding their thoughts on gifted students. Despite her challenges, she believed that somehow or some way, with the help of From with the help from the teachers and students, the number of tag students would increase. On Thursdays and Fridays, Dr. Rucker picked up the students to bring them to tag to participate in the lesson as she came by the various classrooms to pick up students. She would hear students say, "Hey, I want to go to the tag room. I heard they have a lot of fun in there." Dr. Rucker smiled, knowing that the little time she had been working with the students helped create buzz that made students want to be identified as tag students or high potential students. Despite how much fun students had in Dr. Rucker's classroom, there were times when students like Patience and Jane would argue about who was correct. Jane would often mention that she was smarter than some of the other classmates because she was a tag student, while Patience and Quadarius were high potential students because they only passed two parts of the tag test. As time progressed, and with the intervention of Dr. Rucker, Jane and the other students began to see that despite being labeled tag or high potential, many of their classmates were really great thinkers. During one of the lessons, Dr. Rucker posed the question, should you be an employee or entrepreneur? The students were required to write on the topic and justify why they choose entrepreneur or employee. After writing on this topic, students discussed in groups why they selected employee or entrepreneur. The students were split into two groups, entrepreneur versus employees. Each group debated on the pros and cons of each side. What Dr. Rucker noticed was that many of the students' experience with people in their family who were entrepreneurs influenced their decision. William and Juan fathers both own their own contracting business. William explained, "My dad makes a lot of money owning his business, but he is always tired." Juan added, "I want to have a business like my dad, but I don't want to have a lot of employees, so I don't have to do all the work by myself." Quintarius agreed, "My uncle runs a mechanic shop, and he works too much all the time and still broke. I don't want to be in charge of all that stuff. I just want to have a good paying job so I can buy a Lamborghini." Dr. Rucker laughed and asked Quintarius to let her know what job what job she should apply for to drive a Lamborghini. As time passed, the students began to love coming to Dr. Rucker's classroom. One day, while picking up students from Mrs. Grimes' classroom, Mrs. Grimes stopped, and Dr. Rucker asked, Doc, you need to tell me what type of magic you have. Quintarius and Thomas are doing better in class. Can you put me some in a spray bottle so I can use it on them and the rest of the class on Monday through Wednesday when you are not here?" Dr. Rucker and Miss Grimes had a great laugh. Dr. Rucker explained, "My class is different because I have a smaller class size. Students get to talk because they have to justify their answers, and they get to work on project-based assignments, which keep them engaged if you want. If you want, I can come and plan and set up time to push in your classroom for support." Dr. Rucker and Miss Grimes decided to meet after school to discuss their plan of action. Mrs. Fields, Dr. Fields, and Dr. Rucker were very proud of the 60% increase in tag students. Dr. Field explained, Dr. Rucker, you would Dr. Field explained, "Dr. Rucker, you worked your magic. When you first said that you were going to help grow the tag students, I thought you were just trying to kiss up to me. Now I know you are a quiet force. Girl, I need to buy you lunch or lunches. Rarely do I see so many new tag or high potential students identified in urban schools." Dr. Rucker smiled and said, "You have not seen anything yet. I'm going to start pushing in more in the K2 classrooms to help increase tag student numbers. I want people to know tag students do not have a set up zip code." The end.
Excellent. You did a wonderful job, Trinity. That was great. And the story was very important for us to hear as well. What did you think about that book?
Um, I loved it because in elementary school, going to a all black school, you really didn't have many kids in the gifted program, as they called it. So it was just interesting to read um, how that related so much to me.
To your personal experience?
Yes.
Wonderful. What did you think of it, Paul?
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed how I caught mainly to the part where it said that there was like a misconception of what the definition of gifted is. And so I like how the story explains that.
Yes, that's very important. And let me ask you, influencer Trinity, you said you've seen that played out personally. So what are your thoughts about that?
I think that, like it said in the book, that being smart isn't cool. I think that we need to, as older, if you have like siblings, as older, as older siblings, you need to instill in your brothers and sisters that being smart is cool, and getting straight A's is great, and they can take you places. So by getting in a gifted program or doing extracurricular stuff.
All right, influencer. Great job. So we're gonna run through this comment section. I'm gonna do you like I did Q yesterday and have you run through your own comments here. So I'm gonna start right here and then you can see where it is and you run through your own love that you're receiving right here. So we have Miss Danelle who said, "Hi Trinity, you're doing a great job." And then you go on and catch the rest of that love.
All right. Mr. Kenneth said, Ashley Rucker, hey sis, listen to this young queen read our books.
So wait a minute. Do you know who Mr. Kenneth is?
Wrote the book.
The author of the book. Yes. Both of the authors are tuned in watching you right now and they're very excited. And these are some phenomenal authors. They have some great books as you see. So just
Yeah.
as you go through, keep in mind you have the authors tuned in and that is dope. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Joe said, hello, family. Hello. Mr. Kenneth also said, amazing job, young queen at Trinity. Thank you. Miss Portia said, that's a great exercise for administrators to implement. Yes. Miss Danelle says, Trinity rocks. Thank you. Mr. Joe said, excellent reading. Thank you. Miss Ashley Rucker said, awesome. Hi. Miss Danelle said, great book. Trinity, good choice. Hearts and books. Miss Ashley Rucker said, thank you so much for sharing. You're welcome. Miss Danelle Parker said, awesome job, Trinity. Thank you. Get Like Shania said, I love that book. Miss Danelle said, I love that you chose a book that resonates with you, Trinity. Thank you. Like Q said, I need another synonym for thank you. Miss Regina said, love that book. Miss Danelle said, being smart is cool. And Miss Ashley said, I truly appreciate your feedback. And she also said, you all make me so proud. Keep up the great work. And then Miss Danelle said, nothing like having authors while you're reading. Cool, too cool, Trinity. Thank you.
Yes, that is too cool. We definitely appreciate Dr. Vaughn and Miss Ashley Rucker for being here and tuning in with us and encouraging our influencers, our youth. I know that is why everybody who is here right now, because why you are here, we understand the importance of our youth, our future generations, the ones coming behind us, as well as the importance of literacy and positive cultural affirmation, positive cultural understanding, a strong foundation of our culture. And so here they have tackled this subject that helps us to understand exactly what the different parameters of being gifted looks like. Trinity, you gonna read that one?
Get their sizes. I want to send there's a queen in you and there's a king in you shirt. Paul, we getting shirts.
Hey, how wonderful
Thank
is that?
you.
Yes, yes, we love that. So
Thank you.
again, thank you so much to the authors. Mr. Jordan, did you have anything that you wanted to say?
I mean, I think the topic is critically important. It is something that we still face today. We have to work on our identification of our children so that they can receive the support and services that they need. If you look at data in the Commonwealth of Virginia, look at data across the country, we still are dealing with significant gaps just in the area of making sure that children of color are appropriately identified as gifted, and for that matter, not disproportionately identified as needing special education services. So, you know, we started off the show talking about some things that are happening in our country right now, and it is just as important that we stay focused on these issues of equity and justice and injustice and inequity in our educational system as we deal with our criminal justice system and many other of our institutions. So I think it was a perfect choice for what we're about here in terms of promoting literacy and education and culturally affirming advancement. So I thought it was a great choice, great read, and I think it's cool to have the authors here as you read. I think that's pretty cool.
It's super cool. Yes. And just to piggyback on that, you know, I just think it reiterates we all have a part to play. There's so much work to be done. So we'll stay focused, you know, focused
That's
on
right.
all the things that we can contribute. And hopefully we're already contributing, you know, but if
Mhm.
you're just joining in today, then find because there's a lot to be done. So find what your passion is, where your strengths are, and get in here and fight, you know, get in here and fight. And that's how we honor, that's how we take that the feelings that we have inside of us, you know, don't be overwhelmed. The talent that you have, the drive that you have, the expertise that you have, get in there, roll up the sleeves, and let's keep it going, okay? Because it's not stopping. All right, we're in it until we win it. All right, so let's see. Well, thank you so much for that reading. That was really, really great. And again, we had a pleasant surprise by having the authors to come in. And how about this? You guys in our chat, leave your t-shirt size because I don't remember what it was. So y'all leave me your t-shirt size, and then we'll make sure that we get everything taken care of so you can have your shirts. Okay.
Thank
Leave, leave,
you.
leave 6 sizes. Once a team, always a team.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
We'll
Okay.
take care of it.
All right. Well, let's see. Well, thank you so much for that again, Trinity. And we appreciate you. Like I said, you've been up here quite a few times this week. We love seeing your lovely, brilliant face, as Paul said in the very beginning. So you have a wonderful weekend, okay?
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. That was great. Let me check out this comment from let me check out this comment from Miss Regina. She leaves great comments. She says, there are so many gifted students who get overlooked because their teachers don't recognize their genius. They don't get staffed or served because they don't fit into a little box. Yes, and that was so important that that was brought up in this book, that is not the child that always just sits up straight, sits quietly back straight. That is not the definition of what gifted is. So hopefully, as we are moving forward in this educational process, that we, you know, we're doing all that has to be done for that to be recognized, as Mr. Jordan stated. You know, that's a fight for you to get in. So,
But let me say this to you. You know, to me, this is what part of what I see that culture, communities, and action is all about, and what culturally affirming is. The mere fact that you have raised the importance of trying to expose children and educators and parents to all the talents that come in all different shapes and sizes, I think opens up the door for people to recognize and appreciate that giftedness and talented comes in many shapes and many sizes and in many ways. So I think what you've been doing, and one of the reasons I'm so honored to have the opportunity to be up here with you, is that it's not just about talking about what we feel. It's about taking what we feel and putting it into action to produce results. So that popped into my mind. So I just wanted to say that if I don't get a chance to say anything else on the show today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And same to you, results oriented. We are all about the results around these parts. So yes, yes. So Paul, don't forget to drop your t-shirt size before you leave, okay? And let's
Yeah.
see. We have Miss Ashley again, the author, says thank you. And then she also says, this is so true, and that is my fight. Wonderful. Well, we would love to have you,
Yes,
both
yes,
of
yes.
you, up here. Actually, I just did a live with Dr. Vaughn last night, and we actually talked about some things pertaining to our youth and the value of their life in the society at large. But and it was a powerful one. So, but you guys are welcome to come on this platform. We would love to have you up here. You have an invitation, so just let me know, and we'll make that happen. Okay, we would definitely love to have you. So now we are going to move on to our next reader and educator. Let's see. So she is all up in this literacy game. She knows how these things work. She knows exactly the flow of things here. She is no stranger to this culturally affirming literature. She is no stranger to getting up here and brightening up everybody's day with her spirit and the selections in which she chooses. So without further ado, and you're about to see her level of dedication. Okay, so once I bring her up here, you're gonna see how dedicated she is. Just look, watch this. All right. So we have Miss Lakeisha Owens chilling on the passenger side. Okay, look at her. How you doing, lady?
I'm good, and I'm so upset because Verizon is not being nice to me. I'm having a hard time hearing it. It's just, can you hear me okay?
We
A little
kind of
bit. And you don't have earbuds with you, do you? Do you have earbuds with you?
Yeah, I'm just like,
You have these with you?
everything's like really fuzzy. I need that.
Okay, I don't think she was
But if
able
you
to
can hear me, I
understand.
guess that's okay.
Yeah.
What book do you have for us this evening?
Um, well, I had a different book because my older son, I do have two sons, was supposed to read tonight, but he's not feeling well. So I just had to
Oh,
pull out another book, and I wanted to, because of all the negativity going on, and I wanted to put up something positive. I have a girls empowerment book, and I just want to educate people on some of the African American females doing good work today. So
okay.
Good choice.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we're gonna step away and let you do your thing, okay?
sounds awesome. Thank you. All right. Before I get started on my book, I did want to mention that I really enjoyed Trinity's book and definitely want to make that a book that my school invests in for all the teachers to read, because that is something I've definitely talked about, the lack of talented and gifted students of African American. So definitely love that book and definitely want to invest in that book for not just myself but for my fellow educators. But the book that I wanted to read from today is called Girls Can Be Anything, and it's stories of women changing the world right now. And it's a girls empowerment book. There's two books actually, and it has a slew of different women that are doing some amazing things in the world today. And I just wanted to read a couple of those, to give you a little information about a couple of those that you probably never heard of before. All right. So, first lady I wanted to tell you about, her name is Patricia Bath. And Patricia Bath is actually an inventor and a doctor, born November 4th, 1942. She's actually an ophthalmologist, and I found this one interesting because you can see I wear glasses, and I have extremely horrible vision. So I was very intrigued to learn about Patricia Bath. She's a doctor who studies the eyes, and she's changing the world with her inventions of a laser eye surgery device and technique called laser phaco, used in conducting cataract eye surgery. Most eye doctors and scientists have been men. So Patricia, she is awesome because she didn't let sexism and racism stop her from changing the world with her talents as a scientist. She grew up in Harlem, and in that community, there were no high schools, and her parents didn't have much money. But despite her humble childhood, she made her way to UCLA, where her passion for research helped her excel in science. She made new developments for laser eye surgery tools and techniques. And through her research and inventions, she's making a real difference in people's lives, students, scientists, and patients alike. So this right here is Patricia Bath. Never knew about her, and somebody who's making a real difference in our community. The next person I wanted to talk about was, she's actually really young. She's only about 13 years old. Her name's Chloe Thompson, and she's a homelessness activist. And she says giving has nothing to do with age. At just 8 years old, she was already changing the world for the better. She started giving away what she calls care bags, filled with things that people who don't have a home need, like socks, underwear, and other supplies, in her hometown of Los Angeles, California. According to Chloe, giving has nothing to do with age. Chloe proves that anyone can impact the world at any age. She believes that the best way to understand problems in your community is to see it for yourself. And when Chloe was in kindergarten, she always gave other kids her lunch. Each day on her way home, she kept seeing a homeless woman and she wanted to help her out. This Seeing this outside each day made her sad and upset. She did not like that. And she vowed at that young age to do something to make her life a little easier. She says that the more you give others, the more you receive. Chloe continues to change the world by inspiring other kids to give back and help others. All Chloe did was put together a plan and implement it. She doesn't worry about what she doesn't have. Chloe just makes change happen with whatever she already has. So this young girl right here is an inspiration to me as an adult because that's absolutely amazing, the way she's thinking. Another person that I wanted to read to you about, to tell you about, is Ayanna Pressley. Ayanna Pressley is a U.S. Congresswoman. And we have tons of Congress women, but I did not know about Ayanna Pressley. She was born February 3rd, 1974. She's an African-American Congresswoman from Massachusetts, and she is one of the 4 female members of what they call the Squad, which includes Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, and Rashida Tlaib of Michigan. And together they're changing the world by representing a society that is fair, inclusive, and progressive, which I can't say any more highly that that's something that we really, really, really need right now, this very moment. Ayanna, she's changing the world by using her platforms to combat climate change, income inequality, and health care for all. And in January 2020, Congresswoman Presley also shared that she had alopecia, a hair problem that affects many Black women, but she has not allowed it to stop her. So here we got Ayanna Pressley, part of the Squad. Another part of the Squad is Ilhan Omar. She's also a U.S. Congresswoman. She was born October 4th, 1981. So she's actually younger than I am, which was pretty awesome. She was one of the first Muslim women to be elected into the U.S. Congress. but her life started far away in another country, another continent actually. Politics was that last thing on her mind as a young girl. She grew up in a Tango camp. She was a refugee located in Kenya, East Africa. Civil wars were breaking out all in her home country of Somalia, and her family, they had to run away. They ended up settling in the US under a resentment program. She's changing the world by being an unlikely hero. And if she can be a hero, anyone can be a hero. Elon's story is an inspiration to others. She speaks to keep hopeful and inspire them through her example. Elon was able to come out of a hard life in a refugee camp to become a hero for many who still live in those camps and for the people she represents in the United States Congress. Definitely inspired by her, knowing her story as a young girl. We also have Hilama Adine. Actually was a beauty contestant and a model. She's young as well, about 23, 22 years old. The beauty industry is essential in shaping the opinions and style of society. Everybody looks at people and how they look. Hilima is changing the world by reshaping the standards of beauty for the woman in the world. She actually participated in the Miss Minnesota U.S. pageant in her hijab, which is a veil worn by a Muslim woman in the presence of any males outside of their immediate family. It's a piece of clothing that usually covers the head and chest. Halima is helping to bring attention to the perception of fashion, the diversity of culture, and the freedom of religion, and the expression of different cultural inclinations. Despite wearing her hijab, Halima became a viral and successful model. She helps to show that beauty can come in many various forms. In this regard, Halima is a trendsetter in opening up spaces in the beauty industry and society as a whole to women in hijabs. It also shows the importance of being open minded in a diverse world. And I found out by doing a little research, she was also born in a refugee camp in Kakuma, Kenya. And she is also of Somali ancestry. And she moved to the US when she was 6 years old. So these are some really inspirational women of color. And the last person, people may have actually heard of her. Her name is Shonda Rhimes. She's a television producer. They said she is the queen of TV. She's an award-winning TV writer and producer, a mother of 3 children, and they, like I said, the AKA the queen of TV. Shonda is amazing. She creates some of the most popular TV shows. She's changing the world by creating amazing TV shows that feature diverse characters and actors from many different backgrounds. She's proven that people want to watch shows featuring people of color. But she wasn't always so fierce. She was shy, she was awkward, and she often got overwhelmed by attention. I found that really interesting because it reminded me of myself. She was uncomfortable in her own body and didn't like to speak in public, but she soon snapped out of her funk. And when her older sister realized that she was never saying yes to anything at all, she started practicing saying yes to the things that scared her for a whole year and soon mastered the art of confidence and joy. She says 5 things. You must strive to be the best and not care what others think. If you want to be successful, you must work for it. Sometimes you have to embrace the power of the word no, but not all the time. Instead of trying to pretend that you're perfect, accept help when you need it. And the 5th thing she says is to achieve your goals, you need to start doing it. And that, I think of all of them, those 5 things she said really hit me. And one other thing she also said is never try to be someone you are not. So we want to always be ourselves and be proud and embrace ourselves. So those are some of the women of culture that I wanted to read about. This book also has a book two, that has a slew of other amazing, powerful women that are in our society today. So thank you.
Excellent. That was really great. Thank you so much, Lakeisha. You always find the wonderful selections to read. And again, I definitely have to comment on your dedication, okay? Everybody, let's not let that go unnoticed, all right? The sister was like, I didn't make it home yet, but I am going to be reading to the family. So she is out and about in her car, but she got her read on. And we definitely appreciate your dedication to make sure that our youth are hearing these stories and just to the Virtual Village 2020 family overall. That was a wonderful selection. We really enjoyed it. To our only male host up here right now, what did you think of that book?
I really enjoyed it because it showed how these women in the Black community have really contributed to their environment and their surroundings and to all the people that they care for. And so I just really enjoyed one the young lady that I really particularly was interested in was Chloe Thomas. Was it Thomas or Thompson? Um,
Um, I forgot, and I'm not sure if Miss Lakeisha is able to hear you. You
well, I was just really interested in how she gave back to the people and how she was always giving, which was really a symbol of what we do here in the virtual village, where we try to give back to the community and influence and always have something to leave people off with as we end our shows each and every time.
That was great. That was great. And one thing that I want to say, when you mentioned Shonda Rhimes, and you said, she grew into being comfortable with herself. I just want to shout out our Paul right here, who is an excellent, I remind you guys over and over again that he's an excellent content creator on YouTube. And when he first got here and started doing the lives, it was not necessarily his comfort zone, but boy, has he stepped into this. Okay. Is he not an excellent host up here? I feel like I could just step
Thank
away right now and he could take this thing on home tonight. I really didn't need to be here. So, we get inspired and we hear these stories of people. And I know that one day, as Ms. Danelle says, Sir Paul, he's gonna have his paintings all around, and he's gonna be just rocking the place. He's gonna be working the rooms, and everybody's gonna know about him. But the wonderful thing about him is his foundation is community, like he said. So whatever greatness our influencers go on to achieve, they understand that how that has to come back to the liberation and the uplift of our community. So we love that about you, Paul. And thank you for reading a story that gives us the opportunity to see those traits in ourselves. That was really great. So you got quite a bit of love here. And I definitely want to say that our pumpkin Shania said that the story was great. We're always glad that she's tuning in. She is always tuned in heavily to the stories that are being read, and she really enjoyed that. And that makes a big deal of difference to us. So thank you so much again, Lakeisha, for reading, for signing up to read and seeing it through despite what your circumstances are. You are a hardcore literacy gang member for real. Last night, Q gave us a symbol. He said VV, Virtual Village. So I'm going to give you a VV tonight. And we just really appreciate you always bringing your energy up here, bringing the wonderful selections. Hopefully next time, we definitely hope that your son will feel better fast. Sending love and positive healing energy towards him. And hopefully we can meet him next time. And you have a wonderful weekend, sis. And we can't wait to have you back, okay? Excellent. So that was really great. Always, Miss Owens brings that great energy, and She is one of our teachers, our educators who comes up here, which is super, super important. We're glad to have them. And again, just the energy from our virtual village family. That's what makes this run. That's what makes this a family. And 11 weeks in, you guys, on Monday, that'll be 12 weeks, the beginning of 12 weeks of us being together. So again, a lot of wonderful relationships have been made. A lot of networking has been done. We've created a family atmosphere here. We have read, as Rodney brought up, it's probably over 100 books that have been read and probably over 100 people who have read them. So we had quite some feats here as a family, and just supporting one another, building up our youth, making sure that they know they are loved by our community. And I tell you what, in the comment section, they feel it. They talk about it. Our influencers talk about it. All the children who come up here, sometimes I'm having behind the scenes conversations with them and their parents, and they talk a lot about the love that they receive up here. The biggest things are getting up here and being able to read and reading the culturally affirming literature, but that love is a big thing that is never missed. So thank you guys so much for that. And let's see what our initiator said. We've got virtual village gang signs now. Too cute. I know, right? I know. That's what Professor Q, that's what he did. So I'm like, I'm gonna rock with it. I'm gonna rock with it. And Sir Paul, I like that. So we got Professor Q, we have Professor Kalia, and we have Professor Jamir. We have Sir Paul. So we got two more that we got to get the nicknames for, and that's what we'll call them from here on out. So again, family, it's been a wonderful night. Thank you all so much for tuning in and for all the positive energy. Let's stay up. Let's stay energized. Let's stay loving on each other. Let's stay connected. Let's keep having each other's backs. Let's support one another in every way. Let's keep listening to our children, protect their mental and their physical and ours as well. There is a lot going on in our community, not just what they put on television. There are always things going on, as was mentioned in the book that was read earlier, Who's Gifted. There's so many ways for us to get in here and fight this fight. So let's not be on the sideline. Let's be active villagers. And I know you guys are. We appreciate the love. And Paul, did you have anything that you wanted to say to the family before we get out of here?
Just make sure to support and love each other and try to keep your mental and physical state stable.
Wonderful. Those are words from Sir Paul. Okay. And so on that, there's really nothing else to say. Sir Paul said it all. So we're going to get on out of here. And again, you guys have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Peace.
Look, mommy, community in action. But oh my, let us sound of that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. But oh my, let us sound of that. Creative, affirming, and culture for me too. Look, granny, and let us sound of that. Look, granny, and let us sound of that. Look, granny, and let us sound of that. Learning and exploring about history, we see. Look, mommy, and let us sound of that. We confident, we practice, and develop fluency. Look, daddy, and let us sound of that. Families, they bond and they representing me. Look, granny, and let us sound of that. Look, I'm here, let us sound of that. Nice, I see, let us sound of that.
So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while we represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down where they have to sit. So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while you represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down, yeah, they have to sit.
Look, mommy, community in action. Well, oh my, let us sound of that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. Well, oh my, let us sound of that. Create